So thanks for joining us ahead of the Carabao Cup quarter-finals. It's great to have you with us. First of all, looking at Tottenham ahead of the quarter-finals next week, it's not been a bad first half of the season for them, has it?
Yeah, I mean, they've been on an absolute fire, Spurs. And we know they've obviously, the last couple of games, they'd probably say have kind of not derailed them a little bit, but maybe just stunted their momentum with the draw at Palace and then the loss at Liverpool. But there's no shame in losing to Liverpool. They're the best team in the country for a reason. But Spurs, I mean, they've been sensational this season. Defensively, they've been a lot better. People would question them defensively. Maybe that was the weakest part of their team, which I still think it is. But they've somehow managed to find a way of stop leaking goals. They're doing it. I mean, all eyes were all on Gareth Bale when he came back. He's not really played a part yet, to be honest. He's not really got going. But it seemed to happen overnight that he was coming in and all of a sudden, I think Heung-min Son that same week scored 4 goals against Southampton. So I think it's given everyone a lift. I think Heung-min Son at the minute and Kane have been absolutely superb. I mean, they're the obvious two that have got Spurs to this point. The way they're playing together, they're both getting goals, they're both sharing the ball, both getting their fair share of assists. And when you've got two players at one end of the pitch, you always know you're in a chance of getting a goal. I think a couple of the unsung heroes, I mean, Højbjerg for me, I was one of them that kind of questioned. When they signed him, I kind of thought, well, this sign doesn't really make any sense to me. If Spurs want to get to where they need to get to, they should be looking at maybe players of a different bracket, maybe a little bit higher. But he's gone in there and done exactly what Mourinho wanted him to do. And I think he's been superb. So I think I owe him an apology, which I'm doing now. But other than that, they've been brilliant and they've been really entertaining to watch. And they've got a real good opportunity this season of winning something. What trophy that is, I don't know. But I'm sure they'll be there or thereabouts to win something. But I think with Mourinho, I think he's gone in there and I think he's changed the whole mindset. And I think under Pochettino, I think he did great things down there at Spurs. And he took them to a Champions League final. He completely transformed that squad. But at the end of it, when he looks back, other than the Champions League final, I think they got to a League Cup final against Chelsea. Other than that, there's not really a lot else to show for it. Whereas I think they've brought Mourinho in now to kind of get them over that line, get them over the hump of actually trying to win something, rather than being that kind of mindset where it's, yeah, we're a nearly team. We've got to a final, but we didn't win. We've almost won the league when Leicester won it back in 2014 or 15, but we didn't do it. It might have been 2016, Leicester, actually. But we didn't do it. I think Mourinho's given them players genuine belief now that, well, hold on a second here, with this man in charge, we can get over the line. We can achieve things that we know the squad's capable of because we know what Mourinho can do. He's been, wherever he's been, every single club, he's won trophies. So and with the players that he's got now, I mean, you have to say this squad's arguably as talented, if not more talented than Porto, and he won the biggest competition there is out there. So I think for me, it's the whole mindset of what Mourinho's bringing. And I thought you've got to say, well, fair play to the players because he questioned on Ndombele when he first got there. Now he's turned into one of their best players as well. So I think everybody has bought into what Mourinho wants, and that's why we're seeing the performances on the pitch that we are.
And just looking at your time at the club and the League Cup specifically as well, I know you were a League Cup winner with Spurs in 2008. I know you were on the bench that day for the final, but the day itself at Wembley, playing against Chelsea, 87,000 fans there. What do you remember about that day? It must have been a special one for the club.
Do you know what it was? And it's weird, and I spoke about this before, because we got to the final the year after as well. We lost to United on penalties. Now, on a team aspect, yeah, it was superb, the one against Chelsea. You know what I mean? Beating Chelsea, first and foremost, in the League Cup final. Because Chelsea, I mean, Spurs, over the Premier League era and throughout a little while, quite struggled to beat. If you look at the two teams head-to-head, Chelsea are miles ahead in terms of winning games. But the whole day, seeing people's celebrations when Spurs won the cup, people around the football club, it was special. See my teammates who participated in the game, got on the pitch, put in so much work into to win that. It was a special day. But for me, personally, it was tough. I kind of took more satisfaction the second year playing. I played the whole game against United, and I was down to take the 5th penalty in the shootout, but we obviously didn't get that far. 2 people missed, and I never got to take a penalty. But on a personal level myself, I took more satisfaction playing every minute of that final against United than I did being an unused sub, even though we won, which is kind of strange. Because even though you've won it, you still don't feel like you've contributed anything to it. Like you didn't get on the pitch. So it was happy for your teammates, but for yourself personally, you're just like, what could have been if I'd got on the pitch. But the fact that I played every minute of the second one, I mean, it was such a special day. I mean, getting off the coach, doing your warm-up, hearing the fans sing, going into the game, looking forward to it, knowing that it's an opportunity to win a bit of silverware, looking at all your family's there, your friends are there. I mean, cup finals really are special occasions.
I was going to say, you can't underestimate how important cup finals are, or win or lose. Obviously, if you lose, it's not a good day, but generally, a cup final for the fans and for the club, you can't underestimate how important they are.
No, of course you can't. And for teams like so Manchester Cities, the Chelseas, the Uniteds of old, maybe not so much now, Liverpool. It's strange for their supporters because you take, for instance, Manchester City and the EFL Cup, the League Cup. They win it every year. They've won it in the last, I think, 2 or 3 years. So for their supporters, yeah, it's always a special occasion, but it must be a little bit, right, we're back here again. Like, let's just get the job done and get home. Do you know what I mean? Whereas for teams like Spurs, who haven't been there that often, when their supporters get to it, and you could see how much we could see it on that day, 2008, how much it absolutely meant to that to the supporters and how much they wanted to win it because they hadn't won it for a while, they hadn't been there for a while. So you can kind of see the passion on their faces. But then when we got there the second season, and you speak to the same people, they're a bit like, oh yeah, we're back at the cup final again now. Hopefully we can get another one. So do you know what I mean? It's never the same passion from them as the first one getting there for a while as the second one. Do you know what I mean? And you kind of question Manchester City's one, who've been there 3 years in a row. But as I said, it's still a special day. It's still a day you'll always remember. And playing any cup final is always spectacular and always something you'll never forget.
And we see it with the League Cup so often as well, with it being the first trophy of the season that's up for grabs. In terms of momentum and confidence, it can be really important going into that final third of the season, can't it?
Yeah, because I always like kind of Manchester City, and I know I've represented them quite a lot because they've won it, obviously, the last 3 years. I always like their kind of mindset because for me, whenever I watch them do the job and they win the cup competition, the Carabao Cup, as you said, it's always the first one. They're always like, right, that's one in the bag. Now we can really kick on to trying to get the league or the FA Cup and the Champions League or whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I always feel like I like the timing of the Carabao Cup because you're right. If you're I don't know, whether you're down the bottom or wherever you are in the league, if you can get to a final and win it, because it's so early on and you've got that trophy in the bag now, you kind of put it to bed and go, right, let's crack on to the next competition, whatever competition that may be. So I've always liked that. And you're right, you're totally right on what you're saying. It gives you a boost for the rest of the season because you can go on and win that trophy. You're like, right, let's go on and achieve something better than that. Do you know what I mean? So, I think it breaks the season up quite nicely as well. So I always thought it was really important to try and get that trophy out of the way early on.
And we saw it with Aston Villa last season as well, didn't we? I know they're another one of your former clubs. I know they made the final, and yes, they lost against Manchester City. But I mean, first of all, it must have been great to see them get to a final, being one of your former clubs. But also, their first season back in the Premier League, it really helped them, didn't it?
It did help them, yeah, and you're right. And obviously, getting to the final, giving it a good go. I think they'll beat 2-1. I think they gave it quite a good go, and it probably gave them a little bit of confidence after that because I know we had the big lockdown in the middle of the season, but you'd have to say getting that trophy, getting into the final, and then after lockdown, they were completely different. They were so much better after lockdown than they were before. It was like they'd taken the confidence from that final, gone into lockdown, and came out the other side. They were defensively a lot better. They looked a little more assured about themselves. So, as you said there, for my former club, like Aston Villa, it gave them great confidence. I know, obviously, again, they'd been there the year before, as in the playoff final. So, again, they've been there a couple times. So, for me, it's definitely it can be a confidence boost getting to a Wembley appearance halfway through the season. And as you said, it gives you real confidence the second half of the season.
And just looking more specifically at Spurs, I know you did just touch on him earlier, but, you know, we can't not talk about Harry Kane, especially as a fellow striker yourself. What are your thoughts on him? He's having a terrific season so far, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, I think, listen, we've all seen Harry Kane score, 25, 30 goals before in a Premier League season. And to the fact that when he does it, we're kind of like, oh, okay, he's done it again. But in terms of his all-round game this season, this is probably the best he's probably played, I think I've ever seen him, like bringing others into play, the combination between him and Son. But not only that, not only is he racking up all these assists, he's still scoring. I think only a couple off Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I think he's got 9 and I think Son's got 10. But the thing is, Kane's got 10 assists as well. So you add that, I mean, he's been absolutely superb. Certainly one of the players of the season. So if he can continue this kind of arc this season, then Spurs will have a great chance of winning something. But the only fear, as we've seen with Harry Kane before, is that can he stay fit? Now, if he can stay fit all season, then Spurs have got a great chance. But we've seen that he's not been able to do that. But I do think the fact that Mourinho's brought in that Carlos Vinicius and other players that can kind of subsidize that with the Europa games. He's not having to play as many Europa League games now, so he's getting a bit of rest there. I think we might see now Harry have a full season and touch wood is injury free.
And I know we're only at the quarter-final stage, but another League Cup win this year for Jose Mourinho would make it 5 League Cup trophies for him and would see him become the most successful manager in League Cup history. It's a competition that he's got history with, and if anyone's gonna do it with Spurs, you'd like to think it's going to be him.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's got a great chance of getting them all the way and winning this competition. That's for sure. But obviously, there are some still very, very good teams in there. And we're talking about Manchester City, who love this competition as well. So there's a lot of good teams that are still in the competition. But you're right, if you were to put money on a manager, getting it done and finding a way to do it, it would be Jose Mourinho, because we know, as you said there, he's done it all before.
And obviously, Stoke City are their opponents next week. Also having a good season in the Championship so far. Obviously, with no fans inside the Bet365 stadium, it's going to be a different experience. But generally speaking, it's a tough place to go and get a result. What are your memories from playing there during your playing time?
Depends what night you got them. If you got them on a Saturday at 3 o'clock, it was bad. But if you got them a Tuesday night about 7:45 kickoff, it was horrible. So it was. You're right. I do think the fans do play a big part in that. I mean, they used to be a massive team as well. I always remember going there in night games and thinking, "Oh God, here we go." The wind was flying in from all different corners because it's an open stadium. The fans would get obviously behind them. I played in a time as well where they had the lap, who was absolutely just flinging throw-ins in from absolutely everywhere. And it was such a tough place to go. Especially if you scored first, you gave yourself an opportunity to kind of hold on to it, and then they'd come out a little bit. But if they went in front, it was so tough. But listen, they're having a very good season, as you said there, Stoke. I mean, defensively, I think they've kept more clean sheets than anyone in the Championship. But obviously, a big worry for them and a big loss is Tyrese Campbell. He's been their best player. It looks like he's going to be out of a serious knee injury for the rest of the season, which is a big blow. But this is an opportunity for others to step up. People like Jacob Brown. I don't think he's got the same kind of production as Tyrese Campbell, but he'll work hard. Nick Powell, I like him as a player. He's a player that can kind of create his own opportunities. But I think the way they're going to get past Spurs, they've got to be defensively solid. If they can stay solid and stay in the game, then hopefully, eventually, you never know what could happen. But you'd expect if Spurs go down there and play the way that they can do, that they should win. But listen, as I said, Stoke have got nothing to fear. Go and enjoy it.
And finally, with the current Spurs side and the way they're playing this season, do you think they've got what it takes this year to go all the way and win that trophy?
Yeah, and there's no reason why not. As you said, they've got the right man in charge, someone who believes in this competition, who respects the competition, which I think is a big word and that is key. So yeah, there's no reason why not. As I said, there's still some big teams in this competition, so it's not going to be easy. But listen, you'd have to say, as well as they're playing at the minute, listen, the teams that are still left in the competition, they've beaten Arsenal, they've beaten United, they've beaten City. The only one they haven't beat was Everton, who beat them first game of the season. So they've got a great opportunity, and as I said, it's going to be interesting. But I'm really looking forward to the tie.